just hold this. Can you hear me okay? This is a slide that shows the current acting director of Botswana National Library Service. She's on the right, and I just wanted to mention that we've worked out a deal where she came and visited us for 2 weeks in July, and then our librarian in our little village of Holderness, New Hampshire, will go to Botswana in March and see how libraries are going there, and she can learn from them. We think it's a great idea for an exchange, and she was a lovely person to have stay with us. I think there's another one here. Let's see. This lovely person and her late husband, who was lovely also, came to Botswana a few years ago. She was director of Library and Information Studies, and
from the University of Wisconsin.
University of Wisconsin, Louise Robbins. Yeah, and I just have this feeling that everybody in the room knows you, but you are retired now. So, and the idea was to bring students from the Library and Information Studies Department to do a possible internship. So there were some trials of that. I think some more things need to be worked out before that program can take off. A lot to learn on a project like that. Placement of students is pretty critical, and the people, this is one situation where the people probably who are critical to this are the University of Botswana, who would be doing the supervision, and the Botswana National Library Service, who also would be in partnership with them. So we're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen on that. And we appreciate that you came today, Louise. This is the opening of a library, and the children created a song, sang it in English. Children don't start speaking English till they're about in 3rd or 4th grade. And this is another scene just at a library opening. Everybody likes to celebrate, and the kids get dressed in their traditional costumes, and they know a lot of traditional dances, and it's all just great fun. And this is the Botswana Defense Force Library, which was kind of a fluke that Bob sat next to the colonel and started talking to him, and then we visited their library, which was badly in need of replacing. And so that's one of the libraries that we built. That's the 3rd one, I think. I just wanted to say a word about this. It's sort of, can you imagine, any idea why I'm sitting on the ground? Okay. They first presented us, this was at an opening, and they first presented us with a chair, and that was, I thought, oh, how nice, and it was a chair, handmade, beautiful, and I opened it, the chair, and sat down in it, and then he said, no, that's the chief's chair, that's for Bob. And so I said, oh, excuse me. He said, this is for you, and so then gave me the traditional, it's beautiful, goatskin rug, and so he said, you sit on the ground.
That was a long night.
Yeah. No, I was perfectly happy, I just didn't know. And they had given us outfits to wear. We were actually very honored that they had sewn something for us to wear that were their traditional outfits. I'd just like to say one more thing about this, and that is that this is the interior of a library. A program had been planned called a Big Baby Shower, and every woman who was expecting was invited. And so there were a lot of pregnant women. Some men came, and there were speakers, and they invited me to come. I gave a little talk, and it was interpreted. There is an interpreter there. This is how we love seeing the libraries be used, gathering people from the community for educational purposes. This is just another view of what was going on. This is an elder woman of the village, and she is pleading, and the woman next to her is the interpreter. She's pleading with the young mothers to get checked. That means get tested for HIV/AIDS, because the big thrust in Botswana, and 125 Peace Corps volunteers are there solely for this purpose, prevention of transmission from mother to child of HIV/AIDS. And even she's in the know about that, pleading with these mothers. And another little offshoot that seems like a very natural thing to do when we go to visit the libraries. We are interviewing an elder woman. She didn't know for sure how old she was, but she thought she was born around the time of the flu epidemic. That would be 1917. So she was really up there in years, and couldn't hear very well, couldn't see, and told through the interpreter on the right. And it's documented now, the oral history of what she remembered growing up in this village. We have come to appreciate the tremendous amount of oral tradition knowledge that exists, and if we can be a part of helping to preserve that, we'd kind of like to go ahead and maybe teach them how to do that. But at this time, we're the ones with the equipment, and so they will get the disc that we did, and that will be present in their library, so that they will have that, and also in the archives of Botswana. And that is the purpose. I explained to them that's the purpose. It's not going to show up on YouTube. Okay, and this, I invited another library to have one woman there for me to interview. And we got there, and all these people were there, and they were all sitting there. And so I did the interview, but there were all these other people, and the man behind the two women in front with the white shirt on is the chief of the village. So Bob said to me, I think we better interview him too. So we did, and it turned out to be so interesting. Some of the women had gotten together and they wanted to do a drama. This is how they tell stories. They do a drama, they make up songs, they dance, and they portrayed what happens in the life of a young girl when she comes of age and starts having her periods. And so they went through all the traditions, and it was very important for them that we record that. So that was really interesting. Okay, here we
That's
go.
a suspicious person.
Yeah, we had a visitor in one of the libraries, and we had another visitor who found himself outside blowing bubbles with the children. It was real fun to have John and Natasha come and visit. Do you want to carry on?
That's all right, go ahead.
Okay. Each library gets some chess sets. We've discovered that they really love playing chess. There are some chess clubs now starting, and so that just has become a part. They have chess club, and they have competitions, and then another thing they enjoy are just little toys that you can handle, Lego especially, and I'm not sure what this one is called, but this is a brand new library, and the kids are just experimenting with it. One of the libraries, Matlako in fact, my little village, they came up with the idea of making themselves blouses so they would all match, and on special days they can look beautiful in their outfits that they made. You want to do this one?
Yeah, this is a picture of one of the problems in the villages, which I mentioned earlier, is I'm not sure why that's showing below. Yeah, I will keep track of time. I was told. Is to develop small businesses in the community, and it's a very difficult concept. And so we were kind of being a catalyst to bring women together, primarily women, even though the chief is there, and because many of them have abilities like sewing, baking bread, and so they wanted to borrow money from us, and they didn't want to sign any papers about it. They didn't want a loan like you should do in a microloan, so we kind of held back. And lo and behold, out of the 12 women, 3 now have started little businesses on their own because of our patience. And normally we wouldn't have the patience, we'd be doing it for them. So again, it proves the point that if they really want to do something bad enough and you hold back a little bit but share the idea, they probably will take hold. So I think it just shows that that can happen. We got to hurry up here, I know. This is just more of that same meeting and Sarah meeting everybody. This is the library that we're going to be opening in November 1st. This is on the edge of the Ogavanga Delta. This particular river did not have any water in it for 17 years, and now it's a flowing water, and all the animals are coming to the water. So and our library is 10 minutes from here. So it's an exciting place that periodically even has a lion come through the village. This is the library. This picture I got yesterday on the internet, and so this is the library that will be opening November 1st. And this is where they are, actually that is thatch, and a little Kotla building to the right of the playground, they are building that themselves. This is the library that we'll be building up north. This is the library committee that we've met with to decide where to build the library. This is in Shakaway, which is right on the upper border of the Ogavanga Delta. And this is their reading room that they have right now. That is really a small room. And this is the inside of that reading room. That's their library. So you can see, hopefully, the impact of the libraries that we're building will have on their village. Quickly, I want to just quickly talk about the challenges that we face. And I'll just go through them quickly without saying much about them. Finding qualified librarians. Even though they are trained in library science, they have not had a lot of management experience to run a library. That is a challenge. There are several good librarians. There are several librarians that have a lot to learn. Culture is a big challenge, and for us not to try to change their culture, but to work within their culture. Patience is another challenge. Giving choices and not advising. So I think that's a very important thing that we're trying to learn. Communication. Communication from them is very different than for us. We love to communicate in this country. They like to talk to one another, but when it comes to business communication, it's very, very slow. And so sometimes it's one way, and we just have to keep asking that. Entitlement is a big issue in developing countries, especially if the government has handed things out to them, and all of a sudden they say, well, why aren't you giving me something? Why don't you pay for it rather than me? So again, patience in dealing with entitlement and not just giving them money. Dress code is an issue that you have to be very conscious of what you wear when you go into a kotla. A woman is supposed to wear a skirt, not pants. Men are not allowed to wear jeans. So dress code is another challenge. Older members using the library, that's a challenge for us. To get them, a lot of them do not read, and so to get them feeling comfortable to come to a library when they don't read is a challenge, as it is in this country if you are working in an area in the United States where there's no literacy. One of the biggest challenges we have faced is we've had 5 directors in the last 6 years. And Louise is laughing. Louise had to figure out who to call next. And that has been a very big challenge. We have a new director now, and she's been on board for about 2 months, and we'll see what happens. But they seem to get a better job offer, they move immediately. So that is a problem. Opportunities, you were going to mention opportunities?
I think basically the opportunities that I see are...
Wait a minute, we've got to have the right slide for that.
Oh yeah, here you go, Tasha. Opportunities that I see primarily are building relationships. And I think that's all I'm going to say about that. Building relationships to me is about the most important thing that we can do. Even if a project doesn't take off, if you have built relationships, you can change direction and you're still ahead of the game. Okay.
This is another opportunity. This is when we were hitting those 2 prides. Now, what is that a picture of? Anybody want to guess? That's the vehicle we were in. I was sitting right there. And what's those 2 ears of? That's called a lion. Okay, just thought you'd want to see that. And this is when we go camping on our own, just to give you an idea that we go out in the bush as often as we can when we're not working on libraries to get a feel for the country. And I think Sarah was running from something, we're not sure what. And this is a baobab tree, the famous baobab trees that you've seen children's books written about. This tree is over 1,000 years old, and there's many, many of them in Botswana. Just beautiful trees. Very unusual shaped. And go ahead.
Okay. Giraffe, you may know that giraffes that are moving are called a journey. It's a journey of giraffes. And so I kind of like this slide because we've been on a journey. Things I have learned, again, relationships are very important. And I think of the project as a way to build relationships. Second, there are 5 giraffes, and there are 5 things I've learned, among others. Second, be approachable. I find that's the best way to be learning and meeting and getting to know other people. Third, be ready to take advantage of unexpected directions and opportunities when they come up. 4, admit when I am wrong.
Duh.
And 5, recognize that the strengths and contributions of the people we work with are beyond imagining. There is so much we can learn. And so in closing, I would say if you are interested in the field of public service, don't be afraid to take the plunge. And remember Hale when he said, I'm only one, but I am one. And I would add, even I can make some waves. Thank you. Exactly how to